So problem 26. There were a lot of questions about this one. But what you need to recognize is all of these are x to the first. X over 7 is the same as if you write 1/7 x. X over 3, if we split this fraction up, x over 3 is 1/3 x minus 4 over 3 plus 1. And if we do that first, now we have a problem that we can solve. It has some fractions, but that shouldn't scare you. You have a calculator. And we can combine these. Negative 4/3 plus 1 is negative 1/3. You need to get your x's on the same side, so I'm going to subtract over my 1/3 x. And I'm going to add over this 3. So 1/7 minus 1/3, what's that give you? Come on, I wish we'll do this. Negative 1/3 plus 3, 8/3. Right, so then I need to divide by negative 4 over 21. This is the place where you might have made a mistake. You need parentheses around these if you're putting it in your calculator. If you divide by a negative, it flips the inequality. So 8/3 divided by negative 4 over 21. You can put it in your calculator, but you need parentheses around both fractions. And that should give you negative 14. Any inequality problem, I am going to expect an interval answer. If you need to, you can draw a number line. It's not part of the grade, but it can help. So if it's less than, it's coming from negative infinity. So it's negative infinity to negative 14. There was no equal to, so everything gets a parenthesis. Is that one okay? 27. All right, any absolute value problem, whether it's an equation or an inequality, you have to start out isolating the absolute value, getting it by itself. Then we have to ask, is this an and or an or? So great or, that's an or statement. So we do two problems. The first one, we just drop the absolute value. The second one, we flip the inequality and we make this a negative 3. So then we solve both of those. We add over the 1, divide by 2. Over here, you add over the 1, divide by 2. Again, I expect an interval, but you can draw a picture to help you. Greater than or equal to 2. Equal to means bracket, and we want everything larger. Less than or equal to negative 1, so that would be a bracket at negative 1 going to the left. So this is negative infinity to negative 1 with a bracket, union, bracket 2 to infinity. If it were a less than, what would you have done? And, so it's just in between the two. So you get one interval for your answer. 28. There's two options here. We can either split up this fraction in the middle like we did on problem 26, or we can multiply and get rid of our fraction altogether. Which route do you guys want to take? Okay. We're taking everything times negative 6. If you multiply by a negative, what's going to happen? Good. So this would cancel. Just leave it 3x minus 4 greater than negative 66. now we add a 4 to all pieces. So negative 44 greater than 3x greater than negative 62. Divide everything by 3. So negative 44 greater than x greater than negative 62. That should be negative 44 over 3. Okay, again, if a picture helps you, negative 62 over 3 is smaller. It's saying that x is smaller than this, but bigger than this. So it's just in between the two. Interval notation always goes left to right, small to large. So it's negative 62 over 3 to negative 44 over 3. Is that okay? Problem 32. Graphing a piecewise. Make sure you are correcting any mistakes that you have as we go through. All right. If I ask you to graph it piecewise, I am expecting to see a t-chart for each piece. So if I start with this piece, you will always have to start with the endpoint. So I have to start with 2, and then x is less than that, so things smaller than 2. So 2 plus 1 is 3, 1 plus 1 is 2, 0 plus 1 is 1. How do we know if it's an open or closed circle? Right, less than or equal to means closed. So 2, 3, 1, 2, 0, 1. And this started here, and it was everything less than, so it just keeps going to the left. So that's our first line. Second line, this one has 2 endpoints. So I have to put in both the 2 and the 4, and then something in the middle. 2 did not have an equal to, so that would be open. 4 did, so it's closed. Every time, we're getting out 3. So 2, 3, it says open, but I already have a closed circle there, so we just leave it closed. 3, 3, 4, 3. This stopped, so no arrow, it's just that little piece. Last one. X is greater than 4, so we have to start with 4. Will it be open or closed? Open, because there's no equal to, and then we want things larger, so maybe a 5 and a 6. So if I put in 4, negative 8 plus 7 is negative 1. If I put in 5, negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. If I put in 6, negative 12 plus 7 is negative 5. So 4, negative 1 is open. 5, negative 3, 6, negative 5. This was for everything greater than 4, so it keeps going to the right. My suggestion on these, always do a quick check at the end. It's a function, so it should pass the vertical line test. If it doesn't, that means one of your lines went the wrong direction. Is that okay? Very good. So part A is f times g. So f times g, which is 1 over x. So all you're doing is distributing this to each term. When you do that, you multiply the tops together, so you get like x squared over x, minus 3x over x, minus 4 over x. I'm reducing as necessary, so you just get x minus 3 minus 4 over x. And you can write your final answer like that. Another way you might have had it written, x squared minus 3x minus 4 all over x, if you did a single fraction. Either of those answers is correct. B wants G composed with F. So F, we always start on the inside, x squared minus 3x minus 4. I'm putting that into G. G is 1 over whatever we put in, so 1 over x squared minus 3x minus 4. And that's my final answer. Is that okay? Problem 34. I'm asking for domain. When I'm talking about domain, there's a few things to remember. In a fraction, the denominator can't be 0. In an even radical, the radicand, or the thing under the radical, has to be greater than or equal to 0. Otherwise, your domain is negative thing to infinity. So A, we have a fraction. In a fraction, the denominator can't be 0, so x can't be 3. Now, you're telling me what x can be. I'm saying it's not 3, but it could be anything else. So you need to write that in interval notation. So it's everything smaller than 3, union everything bigger than 3. B, do we have a fraction? No. Do we have a radical? No. So it's the third rule. Otherwise, the domain is everything. You can plug in any number for x that you want and you will get an answer. C, we have an even radical because of the square root. So the radicand, that's the thing inside the radical, has to be greater than or equal to 0. So x has to be greater than or equal to 7. So equal to means bracket and everything larger, so it's just bracket 7 to infinity. If the interval notation gives you trouble, then just take a second and draw a number line. I think it will help you quite a bit on those. Is that one okay? Problem 37. All right, what do we have to do first? We need everything on one side. You do at least need to distribute your 2. Does it matter if we bring over the 3x or if we bring everything over together? No, so either one is fine. I think most people kept their x squared positive, so I'll go that way. But if you brought everything to the right, your signs are just opposite. Now here you would try to slip and slide. Right, is everybody paying attention right now? If you do that, does anything multiply to 6 and add to -2? So what does that mean we have to do? Quadratic formula. When you do the quadratic, you can't do it off this problem we tried to set up for slip and slide. We need to do it off the original. So you need to know your quadratic formula. So the opposite of b, opposite of -2 is 2, plus or minus the square root of b, -2 squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a. We get 4 minus 24. So 2 plus or minus the square root of -20. All right, there's a negative, so we have to take out I. How do we break up 20? So we get 2 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2, so 2i radical 5 over 6. Final thing, if it involves an I, you just split it up, so 2 over 6 is 1/3. 2i radical 5 over 6 would reduce to I radical 5 over 3. So that is our final answer. Is there anything else on the entire study guide that I have not worked out and you need? So you have two options. You can start multiplying everything out, or what else could we do? Square root. If you have a square root, you do plus and minus. So it cancels my squares. Square root of 81 is 9. Okay. If you add over your 5, we get to this point. What you need to realize, these are like terms. We can simplify that. 5 plus 9 is 14. Over here, 5 minus 9 is negative 4. So then if you divide by 3, you get 14 over 3 and negative 4 over 3. So because there was no I or radical when we did our square root, we're able to just combine like terms. Others. Let's kind of look at these and see how we're doing. The first one, what do you have to do to break down a cube root? We need to find a perfect cube that goes into that. What did you break 128 into?
16.
8 and 16, except I think 16 can still be broken down again.
1, 2. 64, 2. Yes.
Yeah. So the only thing, 8 and 16 is fine, but then you just have to break down 16 again because it's still divisible by 8. 64 is the biggest perfect cube. The cube root of 64 is 4. We can't do the cube root of 2, so it stays underneath. If you have 5 x's, how many groups of 3 can be formed?
1.
How many x's are left over? 2. If you have 12 y's, how many groups of 3 can we form?
4.
If we have 7 z's, how many groups of 3?
2.
And there would be 1 z left over. So it should look like that. Number 2, factoring. We asked about one of these yesterday. It has 4 terms, so what do we try? Grouping. But remember, you can't put a parenthesis after a negative, so first make that negative 12 and then group. What can we take out of the first set? And that leaves us with?
3x plus 2.
What can we take out of the second one? And that leaves us with? Now they both have a 3x plus 2, so we can take that out. We have x squared minus 4 remaining. But we can go one more step. Why? Difference of squares. X squared minus 4 breaks into x plus 2, x minus 2. All right. Equation of a line. To write the equation of a line, we have to have a point and a slope. We have 2 points. How do we find slope? Good. Remember, this is like x1, y1, x2, y2. So to get your slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that gives me 3 over 7. Then we take that and one of our points, you can use either one, I'll just go with the first, and you have to write the equation of the line. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y minus 2 equals 3/7 x minus negative, so plus 3. Distribute, and then add over the 2, so we should get y equals 3/7 x is 23 over 7. Are we doing okay on those? Alright. 4 and 5, do we want to work these out? Okay. If it's parallel, we have a point, we need a slope. Parallel means what's true about the slopes? There's same slopes, yeah. Parallel never cross those same slopes. So you have to get this in y equals mx plus b form first, so you have to subtract over the 2. So now I have my point, I know my slope has to be the same as this, so my slope is negative 2. Then you can plug into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is my x1, y1. So y minus negative 6, so y plus 6, equals negative 2 times x minus 2. Y plus 6 equals negative 2x plus 4. Subtract over the 6, so we get negative 2x minus 2. Alright, number 5 is very similar. I have a point, so I gave you x1, y1. But it's perpendicular to this one. So remember, this one is y equals negative 2x plus 8. The slope of that is negative 2. If we're perpendicular, what slope will I be using? The opposite reciprocal. So you flip it, so 1 over 2, change the sign, so a positive 1 over 2. So flip it and change the sign. Then y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y minus 1 equals 1/2 x minus 2. So y is 1/2 x minus 1. So parallel, same slope, perpendicular, opposite reciprocals. Is that one okay? 6 and 7, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing with fractions. What do I need to do first on problem 6? Factor. So multiply negative 18, add to positive 7 would be plus 9 minus 2. On the bottom, multiply negative 6, add to positive 1 would be plus 3 minus 2. If it's divided, what do we have to do here? Flip it. Change the multiplication, we flip this one. So x squared minus 1 would go on top, so difference of squares. X plus 1, x minus 1. The x squared plus 8x minus 9 goes on the bottom. So multiply to negative 9, add to positive 8 would be positive 9, negative 1. Now if anything is on top and bottom, it cancels. So we can drop out the x minus 2s, we can drop out the x minus 1s, anything else? X plus 9. So all we have left is x plus 1 over x plus 3. We can't cancel the x's because it's more than one term. That's just our final answer. Number 7, if we want to add or subtract, what do we have to have? Denominator. So I'm going to have to take this first fraction times x plus 5 on top and bottom, and second one times x minus 3 on top and bottom. So you get x squared plus 5x over x minus 3, x plus 5, minus 4x squared minus 12x for x minus 3, x plus 5. Since it's subtraction, we change it to a plus and run a negative through here. Combine like terms. X squared minus 4x squared is negative 3x squared. 5x plus 12x is 17x. Over x minus 3, x plus 5. Any questions there? Then, last thing on here, I put a couple different word problems, and we should be at least able to get through one of them. So, when we had these word problems with a lot of information, our strategy was to make a table. And across the top of the table, we always put our formula. So here we have an investor, has $21,500, she's investing some at 2% and the rest at 6%. So I'm talking about interest. What is my interest formula? T. So I put 1 on the study guide, I put 2 on here, so you can probably expect to see one of these on your final. We have 2% and 6%. And then our total. All right, where would I put the $21,500? Okay, in 1 year she earns $870. Where's the $870 go? What does that represent? Okay, if we don't know, let's wait on that for a minute. Do I know how much money I invested at 2%? So what do I call that? Okay, I had $21,500. I took X of it and put it in that investment. So what do I have for the second one?
21,500 minus X.
Rate, 2% would be 6%. Okay. In 1 year, so my time is, all right, we can get interest by multiplying P times R times T. So this is 0.02x. This is 0.06 times 21,500 minus x. Did I give you the rate for my total? No. So where do you think this 870 goes? It is the total interest. And once we have this much, we can solve it just by adding the 2 to equal our total. So 0.02x plus 0.06 times 21,500 minus x equals 870. Combine the like terms. Subtract over the 1290. Divide by 0.04. So it's 10,500. So the question would know how much was at each rate. So 10,500 is 2%. The other one, 21,500 minus that, gives us 11,000.